Welcome to my backyard. Here to talk about turmeric, curcuma longa. It is a plant that grows really well here in Central Florida. We're in my backyard near Orlando, and this backyard garden oasis provides a lot of the edible and medicinal herbs that I like to incorporate into my herbalist practice and support my family and my friends and my neighbors with turmeric. So turmeric has this really long history of use, for 4,000 years at least, out of India and Southeast Asia, different herbal traditions. I've been working with turmeric in my backyard for the past probably 10 years. It is in the same family as ginger, and ginger is one of the plants that we cover through the Florida School of Holistic Living, where I work with our Roots of Herbalism program. And ginger and turmeric can work right next to each other when you're growing them. Turmeric is a little more sensitive to the cold. You can see it's already started to show signs of being sensitive to the cold, and we've really only gotten down into the 50s, maybe upper 40s so far. And it definitely defoliates in the winter. I'm already seeing signs of that. This ginger, or Zingiber officinale, it still seems like it's doing okay, doesn't seem impacted by the cold, but if you are growing turmeric, this is normal. This is definitely what ginger does around December, no matter where you're growing it, from any tropical to subtropical gardening experience, it's totally happy. I do know folks that have enjoyed working with turmeric in a pot. A good friend of mine decided to grow it in a pot as a way to harvest those rhizomes. So when we are working with turmeric, the part of the plant that we're working with is the rhizome. And in Florida, come on over, we have nice sandy soil. And it's easy to see those rhizomes from the soil. So I could do this on my plants in the ground or in the pot. It makes it really easy to see the rhizome. You can see I can just pull off a part of that, and you can see that beautiful yellow-orange color. This is the quality that we most recognize turmeric in food, in our other culinary experiences with turmeric. It is the rhizome that we're working with. If you are growing turmeric in a pot, it's very convenient to be able to harvest the rhizomes. In a pot, I could simply take everything out of the pot, and harvest all the rhizomes and wash them. You basically just wash them off. And then I'll grate it or chop it up to dry it. But in this form, I could take everything out of the pot and I'd be sure to find all of my rhizomes. However, if you want to have turmeric year-round all the time, if you have it in a ground or in a pot, it's possible just to collect a few. It doesn't hurt the plant. I like to wait a couple of years after I planted to harvest any of the rhizome, so that the plant has time to put some of that wonderful medicinal qualities into the rhizomes. I also wait until it starts to defoliate, so you can see the leaves are turning yellow, they're lying down. Soon I'll be able to take all of the leaves away and compost it, and I'll be left with a pot full of rhizomes. I could collect a few, and I could leave a few. I could leave much of the plant, underground part of the plant, intact. And come spring, March, April, definitely by May, I'll have these beautiful turmeric leaves coming out of my ground again by that time. All you need to be able to grow turmeric is one of these rhizomes. And my favorite way to make sure that I'm growing the variety of this plant that I want is to get a rhizome from any health food store or friend that grows it, and then In Florida, I can just let this sprout on my counter or even in the fridge. It might grow, it might sprout a little bit. And then I can just put that rhizome right on the dirt, cover it a little bit with the dirt, but you're really not following the traditional rules around planting seeds with a rhizome. Typically, if this was a seed, I'd put it underground at least as deep as its diameter, and that's not true with turmeric. You want to keep it a little closer to the surface of the soil to grow it. It really is happy in Florida sandy soil, and when folks hear that, they are wondering about that, the quality of the soil. So if you don't live in Central Florida, it might be hard for you to imagine, but our soil here, when we have this quality of sandy soil, that means that it drains really well. We also get a lot of rain. So turmeric isn't going to be happy if it's sitting in a lot of water. And if I had rich garden soil and the rains came, or if there was a lot of clay in the soil, the moisture would stay close to the roots and the turmeric wouldn't be happy. It likes all the moisture, definitely moisture, but it wants to have some time to dry out a little bit. It doesn't want to sit in water. So if you have it in a pot, make sure the pot has good drainage. You don't want to put it into a pot that doesn't have holes in the bottom or something, and then it gets too soggy. It won't be happy. So good drainage. Pots are fine. You can see that I'm mostly in the shade here. It gets very little sun on this area of our yard. And turmeric and ginger, pretty much any plant in that Zingiberaceae or Zingiberaceae family would be really happy in the shade to part sun. If you get a little bit of sun, a lot of your plants in this family have flowers. If it's in a lot of shade, it probably wouldn't flower. But happy, you'll still get your really good rhizomes, high in curcumin, a plant constituent that has been studied. You could walk into your local pharmacy and get capsules full of curcumin, but you wouldn't be accessing the full breadth of what this plant can do. This beautiful orange rhizome. The energetics are pungent and bitter. Come on in, we'll take a look at that. It's had a history of indications like arthritis, digestion, eczema, bleeding. It's been used topically for wounds, ulcers. There's actually a really in-depth study, if you look it up, on the use of turmeric capsules, and that was the powdered plant in capsules for helping relieve ulcers and helping people to avoid having ulcers come back. Turmeric has this beautiful yellow-orange color. Its bitter flavor helps the body produce bile, which is really wonderful in support of good digestion. It's been found in formulas for Alzheimer's, colds, flus, cancer, heart health, type 2 diabetes. It has all these wonderful actions that help us to know that it can be beneficial in a lot of different protocols for the immune system, the digestive system, the urinary system, cardiovascular and lymphatic. I like to grate it, as you can see. Just be prepared. Anything you touch will turn orange. You'll see that I also did not take the skin off, the outer skin. Some people recommend taking just a potato peeler or something and taking the outside skin off. That's not something that I do. I leave it on. If I have an area where I'm grating and it's really just skin, I might compost that. But in general, I am accessing as much of this plant as I can. I can use it like this in teas, tinctures. I can put it on a drying rack. I can lay it out so that it's has lots of room for airflow, and whatever drying method that you like. I like to grate it for my drying. I know some folks like to slice it for drying. I just feel like in Florida it takes longer for the drying if I slice it. So I grate it and then let it dry. I can add it to food throughout the year. I can add it to tinctures in this form. If you prefer powdered, you can let this dry and then put it into a coffee grinder or your favorite powdering device that you have, so that you have it in that powder form. I find that having it in this grated pieces is really nice. It adds a little bit of texture. I know what I have in my food. Much like ginger, it has that nice little bite to it. Makes a really wonderful preparation of golden milk, and that I would just take some of about a teaspoon of this grated turmeric. I'd put it into a pot with about a cup, maybe two of, and then I would double my teaspoon of any kind of milk, and that can be cow's milk. I think historically cow's milk is fine. Also, I can use almond milk or oat milk, whatever my favorite kind of milk. And add a little bit of black pepper. It's said that if you add a little bit of black pepper to turmeric, it can make it more accessible to the body and do its thing. However, in the studies for rheumatoid arthritis and joint pain, capsules of simply turmeric were used for those studies. So use your best research skills and discover what makes sense for you. But turmeric is incredibly simple to grow here in Central Florida. You can have it in a pot. I've had friends that have grown it in more northern climates, as long as it's getting a little bit of sun and that moisture, and recognizing if it gets too chilly, the leaves will defoliate. So you'll have an empty pot for part of the year. Just be prepared for that. It has no known cautions or with moderate use. I've seen in a couple of locations that it should be avoided in pregnancy, but as you know, this is a plant that has been used in culinary dishes from a lot of different traditions for eons. So with moderate use, culinary use, turmeric is generally considered safe. Be sure to send any questions that you have to the Florida School of Holistic Living. Check out some of our other plant profiles, and subscribe to get all the action. We send out a plant video at least once a month, often from my backyard garden here at the Florida School of Holistic Living. We really are committed to getting herbalism into every kitchen, every household. It wasn't that long ago that everyone knew a little bit about working with the plants in their kitchen. So I'm glad you were able to join